Hello, I'm Valentina Kozlova, former principal dancer of the Bolshoi Ballet and New York City Ballet, also co-founder of VKIBC competition and founder of Valentina Kozlova Dance Foundation. In the program Pulse on Dance and Science of Movement. Let's get started. I have a pleasure to introduce great lady, Anabella Lenzu, Argentinian-born dancer, choreographer, educator, writer. You have your own studio and so many things. You were born in Argentina.
Yes.
And you study classical ballet in Teatro Colón.
Mm-hmm. And also with the Cuballet with Alicia Alonso. That we have the pleasure to come to us, every summer, 3 months. So, yeah, very, very, very proud to be Argentinian and the formation that we have. No, that set the base for everything.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I danced in Teatro Colón. I did performances. Yeah, it was quite beautiful. How did you begin?
Well, first than ballet, I started with flamenco dance.
Flamenco?
Yes, because didn't allow you start in 3rd grade, so you need to have 9 years old. But I want to dance so much, and so the only thing that there was available in my hometown it was flamenco. So I started as a flamenco dancer, and actually the first choreography that I did, I thought, I will wear a tutu, a tiara, but no, they made me perform as a bullfighter. So 5 years old, little Anabella with a suit like a bullfighter. No, how your life, and I think this set up my career, like
fighter.
The idea. Yes, exactly.
A fighter.
Yeah, fighter.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember in school also. You think of tutu, and first role I actually had a lead role, and after that they promoted me to older, and I was like duck, completely covered, but steps were a little bit harder than it was before. And I thought, well, that's interesting promotion. Mm-hmm. Like nobody even sees you behind this costume. So, and then you study classical dance in Teatro Colón, mm-hmm. with not just Alicia Alonso, but there was
amazing dancers. Raúl Gato, Aida Micón. In Argentina, the dance education, your dance teachers are like your second parents. Mm-hmm. That's the way that you nurture this. They're passionate, and because Argentina is so hard to be a dancer, like any part of the world, but specifically in Argentina, we have so many names around the world in the best dance companies, but in Argentina there are just a few companies. There are 4 official companies in the country. So as soon as I knew that, okay, I don't want to be in the corps de ballet. That's what it always interests me, actually, the choreographic process. Mm-hmm. That's why I want to learn repertory. So then choreograph. But ballet was like a lexicon. It's like speaking Spanish for me. Mm-hmm. And then I need to dive into another languages. So my teacher in Teatro Colón, Ángel Fumagalli, he was the manager for Maximiliano Guerra and Jorge Don.
Maximiliano was my partner.
Okay. He was my dance history and dance criticism teacher, and he saw my choreographic adventures, and he said, Anabella, you have to move on into choreography. I said, well, where I start? Well, why we don't try in New York City? I said, okay, whatever you told me, come. And so we contact Hector Saraspe at Juilliard.
No, Hector worked with him too. Small world, right?
And but Hector said, well, it's not a really good place, Juilliard, for study choreography. So he sent me around, and I speak French because we study French in Teatro Colón. No, we didn't study English. So I ended up with Igal Perry study choreography, with Mary Anthony, following the line of Hania Holmes in dance composition, and then with Jim May, follow the steps of Anna Sokolov. So I start to find out, okay, who are these choreographers that I read in the books, but I never saw. In Argentina, we didn't have like tremendous library for modern dance. So my love for modern dance started, and especially follow the steps of the female pioneers in modern dance. And I feel reading the book, looking at the lectures and demonstration of Doris Humphrey, reading books about Mary Wigman, it's like, oh, this feminism, Martha Graham, feminism point of view, and who I was there. And so I started to work with Jim May and Lori Mary for the Anna Sokolov Company, and I found out that my lexicon was not ballet, it was not modern dance, it was dance theater.
Quite interesting.
Mm-hmm. Because the theatricality that we have in ballet. And I'm Latina, so the storytelling, so it was a natural thing for me to actually go and learn text and include sounds and develop characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, that was more interesting in the psychological part of the dancer. That in dance, you don't see much, but in theater, dance theater, you embrace it. So that was my journey into what I do today, which is dance theater.
Yeah, and especially I think that if you have dance theater or even contemporary or modern dance, I prefer smaller settings,
Mm-hmm.
so the audience close to you,
Yes.
and they become part of you, because in a big stage it requires like big
Yes.
ballets, so
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
it's completely different language. So you travel a lot.
Yes.
You taught in so many countries.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly you were giving ballet class, or you were doing educational.
It's very interesting what you say, because I feel that I'm like the Mary Poppins of dance. You know, when I came to United States from Argentina, I was teaching ballet because I was like, ballet in United States, I was not happy how they teach ballet here. And then when I went to Europe, I teach modern dance because that's what it was missing. So I was like a nurse. What they need here, they need the vaccines, they need the blood pressure. That's how I am, you know. And then dance history always accompanied in anatomy. I always feel that because my formation was so wide, I could teach, because at the beginning I was like, I'm prepared to teach dance history, and I called Angel Fumagalli, and he said, yes, you are, Anabella. I'm like, are you sure? I'm not a dance historian. No, you can teach dance history. And so little by little I feel that every culture that I went is what is missing and what I can bring into the community, into the school that they need. In Italy, I was teaching in some schools, I was teaching ballet, Baganova, but in another ones I was teaching Humphrey Limon bass. And so it was very interesting. In another schools, I was teaching dance composition. And also it's a way to make me understand dance in a completely different angle. How I can teach theoretical classes and can I teach practical classes. There is a completely different thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's like, okay, how I verbalize what is important, how I pass to the next generation things that with so much love and so much generosity they give me, my teachers, and how I pass them down. So yeah, I've been teaching so many things.
So when you're talking about dance composition, do you follow like ABC, like it would be in music, or not?
It's very interesting because when I came to United States, well, first I studied in Argentina dance composition with Oscar Araiz, like all the big names and choreographers, Andrea Cinetti, Ana Maria Steckelman, all Argentinian choreographers. And the way that they have their own methodology. But when I came here, I find a very true lineage, the modern dance world and the postmodern dance world. Okay. And so I was studying with, I remember with Susan Retos, she's still alive, and she's amazing, but she's in the postmodernism style. So she's like, Anabella, we don't believe here in phrases of movement. We don't have phrases of movement. I'm like, okay, we're in another world. How we structure an idea when you don't have phrases of movement, for example. And I like, for me, choreography is choreography. So I want to learn how many different methodologies are out there. And I don't make a discrimination. For me, a good choreography doesn't matter. Could be a postmodern dance, a jazz, could be Fosse, could be Balanchine, could be Béjart. I mean, if it's a good choreography, I don't discriminate in the different methods of creation. Mm-hmm. So I'm very curious. I consider myself still a student, even I'm 50 years old. Every teacher that is teaching dance composition, I will be there. For example, studied with Ralph Lemon. It was a very intense process. It was, I remember, in New York Arts Live, and he selected us 10, and I never, met him in person. And he started with a question, what is black? And I'm like, okay, we was 2 white person in the room, and I'm like, how I define, how I choreograph about that, coming from another culture. And so the political aspect of choreograph, that's what appealed me about Ralph. And so I feel that learning for each one is what nurtures your own voice as a choreographer. That's why I can write books about that. My book talk about 30 other books about the training of the performer.
So speaking, that's quite interesting that your last book, it's a teaching dance through meaningful gesture.
Yes.
Can you tell us about?
Sure.
I think in my when I read this in my mind, I think I know what you mean, but I would like to hear it.
Sure. Well, it's to find the inner motivation. In dance theater we have a principle that it was interesting. François Delsarte, who was not a dancer, not a choreographer, he was an opera singer, and we're talking about the end of 1800s, beginning of 1900. François Delsarte created a system called the Delsarte to train opera singers about the physicality. And he put this principle: motion creates emotion, and emotion create motion. So I took this very deeply. I trained with one descendant of the Delsarte, a regisseur from La Sorbonne, from France. And so understanding how to move, if you teach me a choreography, the job of a dancer is to read the choreography and how the movement, the shape, the form, but you also need to go inside yourself, what it creates to yourself, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. Otherwise, you just repeat like parrot. But sometimes it's you that need to generate the movement. So you need to know what is your inner motivation. So what I mean with meaningful gestures is like talking blah, 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 or thinking what are you going to say before. And so this consciousness about the physicality and how the mind, the body, and the spirit work together is what I want to awake in this time where dance is so athletic. The pendulum of dance between the intellect, the spiritual, and the physicality. We're all the way to the physicality, and sometimes we forgot the impact of the spirituality aspect on us in the movement. I remember my students during the pandemic, we were doing some exercise through Zoom and everybody started to cry. And I said, we opened the heart chakra. And we've been all mourning inside our apartments that we don't have freedom, that we are scared of all of the world. So it makes sense that opening your arms and doing arch back, this time is not about joy and ecstasy. That was an opening of the heart chakra. So how we can teach dance if we don't talk about these elements of the body, the mind, and the spirit in one class?
That's quite fascinating, for sure, because I talk a lot about science of movement.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly the same. It's
Yes.
just slightly different phrasing, but I come from Russian Vaganova method, and with all those incredible choreographers who also did big dramatic ballets. And there's I would never forget that, like, when I already danced all those Swan Lakes, etc., a lot of ballets, that if you go into say Romeo and Juliet or in anything else, or Onegin, and if you miss during rehearsal some technical aspect of it, so you fell out, teachers or coaches, I will say, not teachers, coaches, they don't really pay much attention, because they're looking for something else.
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, by the way, something like you missed because you did wrong. And that's how, for example, the way I say it, and when I teach people, I was teaching before and I teach now, that sometimes I say, no, that's exactly right, even if a person fell out of the turn or
Yes.
the jump or whatsoever, because it's not what you're looking for. You're looking, what exactly do you want to say?
Exactly.
So what you're explaining is extremely close to me personally. This theater,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
theater movement.
But you know, our teacher Aida Micon in Teatro Colón, again, Vaganova, talking about, you know, that's something that we share. She was explaining us how different is when you churn out correctly from the abductors that when it's visually. You feel different. You emote, then you understand the technique. I mean, how we can separate what I call the muscular drama and the technical correctness. You're not going to achieve the artistical aspiration, because if you don't really feel the femur rotating into the hip socket, you feel the six rotator, you feel the abductor, then you get the elevation. So can we separate the technique from the artistry? No. And so when we miss, I mean, when I do the bar, even myself, I'm not dancing ballet, but doing the bar is a meditation to realign myself, to know myself, to be in contact with the gravity, with my breath, with my being in the world. Literally, it's not just a set of exercises. So my goal teaching and writing about that is that sometime, and especially in America, and I will say it because it's something that I need to battle, they think that the dance studio is like a Crunch or Equinox. They think that it's the gym. Yeah. But the dance studio is a different environment where we celebrate our holistic person, not just the musculature, not just the physical body. So, and the idea that I need to continue to explain that dance is not a sport. I still 35 years in the United States, in New York City, and I still need to talk about that. I was like, wow.
I think happening? Now more than ever.
Yeah.
Because when I came here, it was, there was difference where I came from.
Yeah.
But I was looking for something new to learn. You're taking balance, you're taking Robbins, you take Elden and a few others. It was just new venues. So I was too busy in my head to learn this, to understand. Sometimes I will inside reject, for example.
Yes.
And then correcting myself, no, this is why I'm here, because I know the classics and all those big ballets. But now it's a problem. Now that I see is everything is exactly equinox.
And it's very superficial. Like I talk to my students and I say, please stop putting pollution on the internet and recording yourself in Instagram. I literally say, you look great in the photo, but you cannot dance. I mean, there is a very distinction thing. You look great in a photo that you dance. And how different is to dance in the studio, like you say, to dance in a stage for thousands of people. So one of the chapters in my book, I'm talking about the projection of energy, and everybody like, what is energy? I'm like, okay.
Oh, no.
And then I'm like, that's what we learned when we did class in the theater. Like how you amplify the people that pay, the $10 that are seated or $20 on top, they can see your gestures is because you work on the projection of energy, like a singer or like an actor project the voice without the microphone. This is something that people forget. They think all about the muscularity, the strength and the flexibility, but they forgot about the energy and the presence.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear. Like you're amazing. You're saying exactly that. I would like to scream and say. So now I've got an ally.
Yes.
So we'll scream together.
And you can give the book and they can read it. So we say it and they read it and they study and they absorb it for the next generation.
Exactly. Anabella, you also became president of American Dance Guild, which was became like 1956, right? I think that's when it started.
70th anniversary next year.
Wow. Can you tell me about this organization? I mean,
Sure.
I've heard, but I don't know much about.
Sure. Well, I joined ADG, American Dance Guild, as a board member in 2021. And why I joined, there was a call during the pandemic and they was looking for new board members. And I'm like, that's who I am. how I've been serving, being a bridge between different generations, different countries, different techniques, because I'm not just teaching for actors and visual artists and dancers. I'm the connector. So I joined and I knew they celebrate the classical modern dance. And when I came to United States, that was my formation. But for me too, it's like, are we bridging with the new generation? What are we doing for ADG just not to be static in time? How are we going to help ADG to be the window to the past, but the doorway to the future? And so in all these years, I created first an educational program in partnership with Perry Dance that during the month of June for a week, we invite 10 teachers, 10 master teachers of modern dance techniques that they are disappearing. I mean, we are not just doing Graham or Limon, but Eric Hopkins and Daniel Nagrin, escaped to my mind, Anna Sokolov, Isadora Duncan. We invite many teachers that otherwise the techniques are disappearing. And for me, modern dance is a point of view of life. And we are in a political and artistic moment that we need diversity. So we create these workshops that they are so well attended. Last, I think 120 people came, and it was dancers and choreographers, professional dance choreographers, 70 years old with 15 years old in the same class. And the 15 years old, I'm sorry, who are you? And they are very known persons in the field. So I was creating these bridges, intergenerational bridges through these master classes. With ADG, I assumed the presidency last year, and I'm very honored for this. And I say I'm gonna be for 3 years, so 2 more years in this position. And my role will be about the digitalization of all the archive, and again, connecting the past with the present. When my students, for example, in dance history and dance criticism, go to do the homework and go to AI, AI reply literally bananas, all mistakes. Because there are many materials that are not digitalized. For example, we're working on the digitalization of Dance Scope, who was and is considered the best dance magazine, American dance history in history, American dance magazine in history, that was published from 1965 to 1981. There are articles, yesterday I was looking some of the volumes of Jose Limon, of Anna Halprin. They are not published in any other place than in Danscope. My role is to make this available for the next generations. And so we are doing these bridges, and we create, beside the educational programs, we also doing bare bones. There is also like a showcase where we show work from already known choreographers, again, mature and professional, with beginners choreographers in the same evening. And then we have a Q&A. And then also we have the awards that we're going to give. And next year in November 2026, we're preparing the big celebration of 70 years. So
that could be quite
that's going to be very important. Again, how the past, the present, and the future are in communion. Because not many people, young people, know what is American dance skill. And so that is my role, to connect. Because I feel that the younger generations, they're overstimulated. They have so much information out there, but they don't know how to distinguish. Everything is available to them, but they don't know how to make a decision. This is good or this is bad. And this is very interesting. Like, the education is about the critical point of view. And so with American dance skill, we bring quality of work. And some of this work are not available, again, online, videos. We have an amazing library that, again, we are offering this for the next generation. So a lot of work.
Well, yeah, it would be very interesting for me, like, kind of come and visit.
Yes, please.
Oh, thank you. I find that, unfortunately, that the younger generation, as I teach, that their opinion is quite flat. Or there's no knowledge.
Yeah.
Like if I ask, because pianists played some music and I recognized even Rachmaninoff or Tchaikovsky or whatever goes on, and I stop and I say, do you recognize this music? Silence. So I said, which composers that you know that they created, for example, classical ballets?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to ask.
Yeah.
Classical ballets and it exists for
Of
so
course.
long. And zero, silence. I said, the very famous during winter time, what is it? Nutcracker. Who composed Nutcracker? Forget about choreographers, just composers. Problem.
I know, but that's why I still have hope and I still teach the fact that we need to approach, we need to guide them to see and to distinguish. In my class, for example, in NYU, my course have chapters for 26 books about dance theater. And I expose them to everything. I mean, we go from Buto, all the influences that make dance theater, to dance therapy, to Bill T. Jones, to, of course, Pina Bausch. And the students are like, oh my God. I say, yeah, this is like a wine tasting. That's why you come to college. That's why you are here in NYU. My job is to offer that, because then you can taste and you can say, oh, I feel very connected with these boys, with this point of view of life through dance. But it's my role to offer that. So that's why I always say that a good class is like, it's like a good cook. You need to provide the whole meal, from the appetizer to main dish, second dish, third dish, dessert, coffee, and the ice cream. But they cannot, all the students eat all at the same time, but I'm there to offer them, and then they come and whatever they need, they know that I'm here to guide them as a point of reference. I feel that, the younger generation also, they're looking for a lot of mentors in that.
True.
And there are a few people that are mentors. I don't know, maybe we, again, intergenerational, that we don't understand each other, but I think if you love dance, you have already a point in common. So it's about open this dialogue. It's about sitting and listen. The first class of the semester, I sit and we talk like non-stop, 3 hours. And the students are like, oh my God, when are we gonna finish? I say, we're gonna talk because I need to get to know you. You need to get to know me. And then we can exchange point of views. And then I know how I can guide you in this journey. Because if I don't know what you need, or you don't know where I'm coming from, like I always need to explain, especially in the United States, that I have a strong point of view because of my experience. And so I need to explain, I was bulimic, I was anorexic, I was deported in the United States, I have 2 kids. It's so many things. I have panic attack. I need to talk who I am so they can really understand. And I feel that as mentors, we need to show the vulnerable parts, so then we create empathy. It was very interesting last semester, we was doing an exercise about dance composition, and I make them feel the heartbeat. And so they need to close their eyes and find the heartbeat and dance through their own inner rhythm. Let's say 80% of the class, when we finish this exercise, this is a long exercise, it's 15 minutes, and then we repeat it again. After the second time that we did, we opened a discussion, and the student told me, Anabella, we got very, very scary in the exercise. I say, why? It's your body, it's your heartbeat. 80% of them, they're taking pills.
What pills?
For many mental problems, for depression, and they realize that they cannot control the heartbeat. They realize that they are not in contact with their own body, that through the breath, they cannot control their heartbeat. And it was very interesting for me. They're like, and then they start to open it up themselves, why they taking pills, why in the American society, all these young people, we're talking about 18 to 21. And for me, it was like, okay, I changed my approach to the class because I need to address this fear or their own body. If I don't understand, if I don't provide the space for them to talk about this issue, I will move on. But that was a very important thing, how you can dance without being in tune with yourself. You cannot.
It's a phenomenon.
So it's something very, like, for me, that's why I need to, I give a lot, but I also need to sit back and listen.
I understand. Yeah, I think it's phenomenal, like shocked me many years ago when it was fashionable, starting from teenage girls and boys to take pills, to get up, to sleep, to do exams. And this is a fact. My daughter went to Lycée Français school, so and I spoke tiny bit French. I forgot now. We're living here in the US, so it's like you don't need really French as you are
exactly the same
in Russia, that we learn. I mean, not in Russia, in Russia we learn French, and so she's in French school, and so I told her, I said, you have to do your own homework, and later on I realized I was criticized as a mother that I don't help my child to do homework. And I said, what do you mean? My mother never did homework with me. That's how you start to think in everything.
Yep.
And if there's a problem, say for example in math, biology, whatsoever, you ask some help, for example. But here, and I have some interesting examples that when parent writes an essay and then graded by teacher is negative, I was like, wonderful, because you should let your child, you should trust in your child to do it.
Yes.
So therefore, I guess it's it became something that. That's why I guess psychologists have also good business. To correct.
Well, because the society changed so abruptly in all these years. Like, if I think, I talk with my psychologist about this, how to understand these changes. My father was Italian, so they came to Argentina. My grandmother, grandfather, my dad, and my uncle. My dad was 5 years old. For us, to work hard, it was a synonym of dignity. Doesn't matter that you make money or not. Right now, if you work the less possible, it's best. It's like the opposition of the values that I get from my dad. I didn't get a computer until 2006. My kids, they have technology right up to the hands since they have 5 years old.
Yeah.
So how this style of life that we live influence the way that we are in the world. I don't know. I went to places without cell phone that my mom didn't know what I was. Here we have, like, even myself, I call my son and I look track, even he's 17, where he is, he's on the travel, like, because we live in a society that celebrates fear.
Yeah.
And we don't trust.
And it's also controlling.
And so,
and cell phone controls us.
Exactly. So when you talk about your daughter, when we talk about art, how you gonna make them independent and self-reliable, find their own voices if you don't give them freedom, freedom to choose? But the whole thing is about, with education, we have to give them choices so they can choose freely, and explain that. So that's what I do. That's why it's not that I consider, yes, I'm a writer. That is another way to spread the word. I choreograph, I teach, and I write, and I make dance films. I mean, there are different ways to talk about the same.
And you're also a creator of first dance book fair in New York.
Yes.
Well, that's quite fascinating.
It was interesting with Ada Fitzgerald. She's the vice president of ADG and a dear friend. She published her book this year. I published in January. I think she published also in December 2024. And we are getting a coffee, and I'm saying, we publish these books, and I say all the places that I look to present my book, which are conferences and seminars, I say, it's so much money. First of all, I need to take a plane, pay a hotel, present the book, find a babysitter at home, lost money on it. I'm like, this is impossible. This is thousands and thousands of dollars to sell 2 or 3 books. I say, we need to change that. And so this conversation with Ara is like, okay, so we're gonna create with ADG an affordable and the first dance book fair here in New York City, historically. And I was like, no, let me call. We have our advisor board, Celia Ipiotis, amazing journalist in dance. So I called Celia. There is historically.
I know Celia.
Something like that. She's like, no, it's the first one. I say, I cannot believe. I cannot believe 2025, the first one. So the requisite that we put for the book fair is that the authors need to be. So all the authors that are sitting there in the book fair talking to the people. And it was so successful. The author that sell less, it was 4 books. The author that sell more, 26 books. People exit with piles of books.
So
unbelievable.
Not only that, I have to come for you, but present also, because I wrote a book.
Yes.
But I didn't publish yet.
Yes.
So we're looking for a
You have a date?
I don't have a date. I need to publish this book. It's written, and Audrey is trying to get some publishers, but my book is slightly different because it's a basically journey of young girl from completely different opposite side in society of 70 years of communism, defecting into the West, which is like everything is possible, nobody's taking care of you, so you have to do it yourself. And that's basically like looking through everything with the eyes that as a girl like who faces from the beginning, because I had career in Russia, right? And here, I was famous principal dancer, but defected. But there's no coaches. There's nobody to mentor me. There's nobody saying you do this, you don't do this. Here is like everything is commercial, unfortunately, and maybe fortunately for someone. And so you kind of grow up very fast. And as a matter of fact, very interesting, also I think phenomenon, at least for me, I realized that when I speak more or less business or coming on stage or whatsoever, I think in English. I don't think in Russian at all, because in Russia I was student, I was a dancer, and that's where my head was. United States taught me to be on my own, because in Russia everything was done for me. I only had to be best to do it. So that's what the book.
I love it. I'm looking forward to
I need to find publisher like who would be interested, because it's also, I mean, it was political in a way, except I don't talk about
art
politics.
is political.
Yeah.
Even we want to be talking about partydism. That is a completely. But being an artist in the world is a political act. I completely believe that. But it's true what you say. And as an immigrant, I feel very identified when you say, when we talk about the younger generations, I'm panelist for many grants, for many festivals. And so I see the work of a young choreographer, but I look first than the blah, blah, blah writing description and the amazing website and the publicity, the work sample. And that's sometimes what America is showing you. It look very phenomenal. There are like all the young choreographers have a fantastic website and social media and everything, but it's no content there. It's no substance. So we need to find a medium term. It's not one thing or another. It's like how we can do. But I feel that when you have to grow up so fast, sometimes you burn out. And sometimes it's like, can you really do whatever you want? It's because of the necessity. It forces you going in one way or another. I feel that I write because I'm in America. If I will continue to be in Europe and everybody write for me, or in Argentina, will be a different thing. Here, I have to write so many grants, so many applications, artistic residency, that I became a writer, because if I don't know how to do it, I cannot survive. So sometimes, we need to set some boundaries about, what they ask us, but also what do we want to do.
A lot of similarity. You're an immigrant, so you're just telling me like I went through all of that. We know like Hector Zaraspi, for example, Maximiliano Guerra, who actually I discovered Maximiliano. I went to Don Swan Lake in English National some years ago. And so I came maybe a month before, just for a few days to learn their version. Well, of course, White Swan and Black Swan is the same, but last act. And principal dancer with whom I supposed to dance, he had some guest appearances, and Peter Schaff was director of the company.
Yeah.
So he says to me, "I'll give you a young boy. He's like very talented from Argentina, Maximiliano Guerres. So he's soloist. So he's a little bit short for me, but he's a good dancer, very good dancer, and he's a good partner." I said, "Okay." So I was with Max about like 4 days. On the 5th day, this beautiful principal tall dancer appears like, and a rooster, and he says, "I have rehearsal with you." And I said, "Do you?" So I go to Peter, and I said, "I'm not dancing with him." And he said, "But he's principal dancer. He's supposed to dance with you." I said, No. I flew from New York to rehearse, and now I'm flying back to New York, and then I'll come right before the performance. I like Max, so I will dance with him." And Peter said to me, so what shall I say?" I said, "That's your problem, not mine." And so I danced with Max, and after our performance, Max came with his wife, his first wife. He came to my hotel and was asking for advice, and then he became big European star, and we danced together a lot. So he was the one, we danced in Europe, many engagements, but he's the one who invited me to dance in Cologne, Spartacus, with Russian company.
Yes.
And with him always was like 2-3 days before the performance, I just will come quick because I know he's a good partner, and he already knew me, so it was like
great.
One on stage.
Good.
So that was great. Last time I've seen him in Varna like a few years ago. He's an Argentine. He has a small company, right?
I don't know at the moment. I lost contact with him. Yeah, maybe the last 15 years I lost contact.
Yeah.
I knew that he had a company. He had a studio in Buenos Aires, but then I'm not aware. I work here, so when I go to Argentina, I don't see dance. I don't teach. I just spend time with the family.
How wonderful.
So I put that, my husband is American, so the first trips we bring the company with these shows, and then he turned around, he looked at me and said, "When you gonna rest? We need to rest." So I understood. I'm like, okay, Argentina is for holidays.
And Lomo.
Yes.
I fell in love
Asado.
with it. I can never, I mean, it was like just unthinkable. Performance finishes, I don't know, like say close to 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And then you walk to a restaurant full of people. I mean, we're talking after 1 a.m.
Yes.
And then you have a Lomo, and then you actually can go and sleep because it's like so light. And it was a great trip. It was fantastic. Tell me about your new studios in Williamsburg.
So 2 months ago, I was looking for a studio, and I found it 3 blocks from my house. What a deal. And so far, I'm not offering open classes because it's really my laboratory. And I'm thinking about, again, of course, I have all the archive of ADG there, all the work. But how this space could be function again as a bridge. So I'm taking my time to digest. Of course, I do dance films with my husband, who's Todd Carroll, he's photographer and filmmaker. So now we have walls that we can project, we can do installations. So, and then I also do drawings. So right now in the face of the drawings, many of the drawings then later appear as a projection for my productions. So now is the cooking, and when I go there, it's just like I can be with myself. It's a very meditative, and again, I think it's because I'm 50 now. It's like, okay, what I'm going to do after. I mean, thinking about understanding the past and how I'm gonna move forward. I mean, it's interesting, like you start to rethinking about your function as an artist. I mean, we do it because we love, but we also do it for the community. So I think this space is like it's in an embryo state that let's see what is coming. But I'm not planning any program open yet for the people. Right now, it's my studio to work and go inwards.
So when you open, I would like to come.
Sure.
That would be great.
You can be invited to come to rehearsal. That's for sure.
I would like to come to her because rehearsals for me more interesting than the actual show.
Sure.
I mean, like as we know, like staying backstage. Annabella, so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you to you, Valentina.
It was just like, you need air, pure air to breathe. So that was, this interview was like.
Thank you so much, and I'm so glad that we get to know each other.
Yes, the same.
first encounter for many.
And then I have competition, so please come.
Absolutely.
Because we do have a contemporary division as well.
Okay.
I got so much into my head because of watching sometimes classics, it's upsetting. But contemporary, I really enjoy.
Good.
So,
I will be there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
How will I say thank you? Well, thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias. Right. I'm